Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records. Monday, the 15th May, and we are talking Why So Slow, Dead & Co. So I did a video about 3 weeks ago about Bill Kreutzmann leaving the Grateful Dead, and it's been viewed, about 25,000 times, which is good for my channel. And by the way, subscribe to my channel. We do shows every single day here. About rock, classic rock, some jazz fusion, progressive rock. Anyway, this video did really well. Kim Jellin asked me to do a video in the comments. Please do a show on why they're so slow. Kim also said, I agree, it is strange that he left right before a tour started. Just finished the tour. And that's something to be said. So I want to start by saying this. I love the Dead. I love, obviously I have my favorite periods of when Jerry was in the band, 70, 72, 73, 74, 77, of course, 87, 88, 89, 90, being a few to name, just to name a few different eras. And I like the incarnations that they've had of post Jerry Garcia stuff. And I loved Phil Lesh and Friends. That was kind of my original thing that I just really loved. And when the Dead came around with Jimmy Herring and Warren Haynes, I think one tour was with just Jimmy Herring and one was without. Those were pretty cool. The further stuff with John Kalvacek and Joe Russo on drums and Phil and Bobby, those were cool. Those were really cool. Energy. So why so slow, Dead & Co? I have my theories. I have typed out a list of comments, and there's been hundreds of comments. And I do want to just talk about some of the comments, and then I'll make my own opinions. Bobby is a older man. I mean, Bobby's 70, he's got to be 75, 76. I should know this going into this video. But let's keep all this in mind too. I perform as a 50-year-old, and I can already tell things are a little bit different than when I was 40. And that's okay. What's going on with Bobby? Why are things slow? Let's read some of these comments. I don't drive to a show, fight parking scenario, file into a venue, find a spot only to be put to sleep by Electric Lullabies. That's from Godfrey Daniel. Electric Lullabies. Trucking at 3 beats per minute wasn't cutting it for Bill, says Chuck Summers. Billy just wants to play, man. He wants to push jams and be explorative. Bobby wants to slow things down and keep things slightly conservative. That's by A. Ellis saying these comments. It's pretty clear who the problem is. Eric Denny. I don't know what you mean by that. Does that mean... Well, we'll continue. The tempos are excruciating. It's all Weir can play at this point. Dan Fuller. Somebody just said J-Rad. J-Rad, of course, is the Joe Russo Almost Dead thing that is a lot of fun and danceable. And let me stop real quick on what's wrong with slowing Grateful Dead tempos down? Well, what's great about the Grateful Dead? What's great about the Grateful Dead is they're a rock band that on much of the occasions you can dance to it. What happens when you slow the beats per minute down and take the swing? And was Bill Kreutzmann the swinging drummer? Well, he was the founding drummer. I think in 68, Mickey came aboard, maybe part of 67, right? Played with them into 71-ish neighborhood where he then left and came back in the end of 74, 75. So Billy did all of Europe 72. 73, which is one of my favorite years, and 74, pretty much by himself. Billy is the main drummer of the Grateful Dead, and he's a founding drummer. Billy does have swing in his playing. And there's a bounce in a swing. And when you take the bounce and the swing out of the music, you take a song that people can get up and truly dance to, and you make it just kind of a good song that you can't dance to. And then there's a problem for a lot of people. And I'm going to continue through these notes. I remember seeing the first time I went to see Dead and Company was in September, I think, of 2015 on their first tour, and they did Eyes of the World, which everybody's up for. You know, right outside this lazy summer home. You know, and then you ain't got time to call your soul fitted known. And then they waited 2 stanzas before they went back in. Or maybe they waited after the first verse. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's different. Why not go right back into the lyric? And that's kind of what we're talking about in a lot of these songs. You know, they opened up with New Minglewood Blues the other night at Cornell. And it was slow. It's a cool song. And they slowed it down. I don't know if it's because Bobby's got all the lyrics up on a teleprompter and he wants to make sure he hits those lyrics and have time, especially on songs like Terrapin, to really hit those lines and bring the vocal in solid. Let's continue on some of these comments. I don't want this video to be too long, but it's because he doesn't dig John Mayer. That's it. So the guy's saying because Billy doesn't dig John Mayer. I don't think that's the key. Anyone who has heard Billy and the Kids might consider he doesn't like Dead and Slow style. Jason Tayo says that. It's got to be about the money, John Grywalski says. Ron Schaefer says, you hit the nail on the head with the last line. Jerry, Phil, and Bob kept each other honest via their differences, and the result was magic. So Jerry, Phil, and Bobby kept each other honest when the Dead was around. Bob in particular needs that opposing force to bring him to a higher level. When he's on that level, he can rock as the best of them. But without that opposing force, it's a big downer. Interesting, Ron. Here's another comment. Okay, fair enough, but they should have ended this a long time ago. They jumped the shark. And that's by TIMC333. Joe Rutt says, Billy doesn't want to play the glacially slow tempos imposed by Bobby. He wants to play some freaking rock and roll at appropriate tempos. I agree. Appropriate rock and roll. Again, once you lose the swing and the tempo and the songs, it's just an ordinary song. It's no longer the Grateful Dead. It's like what Robert Plant's doing with some of these Zeppelin things, where he takes it to Americana. It's been a long time since I rock and roll. It's loungy and it's crappy. And it's not Led Zeppelin. And it's Bob Plant, not Robert Plant. And it needs to not happen, in my opinion. Bobby slowed it down for Mayer to grow into it. But he only grew to the slow, which didn't work for Billy. All you got to do is listen to Billy and the Kids, and your answer is there. It's the tempo. James Chandler. I don't think Bobby slowed it down, so John Mayer. You see this poster here? This is a poster that I got at an auction from a 2005 Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters. You'll notice that John Mayer's name is right here, with Marcus Miller, Roy Hargrove, Terry Lynn Carrington, Lionel, and Herbie Hancock, and John Mayer. That was 2005. That's how well Herbie Hancock thinks that John Mayer can play the guitar. I've seen John Mayer jam with Buddy Guy and Eric Clapton, and his trio with Pino Palantino on bass and Steve Jordan's one of the best power trios in the world. And he went to Berkeley. The fact that he decides to do pop music is a whole other thing. But the guy can play anything at any tempo, in my opinion. Dom Rapjack says, yep, I saw them once and it was not very good. Further was the best post-Jerry band. John Mayer was a mistake. Okay. Jason Mobb says it's pretty weak, but oh well. It is Bobby that makes Dead and Company slow. Seems petty not to give the fans what they want, but yeah, Phil isn't there for a reason as well. The fans do want something. And I will say this, I think the John Mayer aspects brought other fans on. I think it's taken fringy people within the Dead circles and fringy fans and pushed them over the edge where they're selling these stadiums out. This is a successful tour. All these tours have been successful, but it doesn't swing, does it? Looper Music says, I got tired of Dead Company really quick. Mayer's lack of knowledge of the band's repertoire got very repetitive. So if Bill is like me, he probably doesn't want to play Terrapin every night for another tour. Bumble, Boo, Twiddletoes says, Joe Russo, Tom Hamilton, Mark Benevito, and Billy Strings are far more important to the Grateful Dead than John Mayer ever was or ever will be. Bumble, Boo, Twinkle-Toes also says, I agree with the first half of your statement. John Mayer is fully capable of playing faster than anyone in Dead & Company. It's obvious it isn't him who's insisting on the slow tempo. I put my money on Bobby or Mickey. The Jazz Sack says, I mean, the original members are getting quite older to tour. The younger, wonderful caretakers, Mayer and Burbridge, have been doing it for 10 years, or about half of their adult lives. It's winding down, and it's been an awesome throwback of curated vibes. I thank everyone involved. Again, we are getting stuff here. There are moments of magic. Barton Hall the other night, and somebody's going to sit in there that they had to do that quicker tempo second set to fill. They could do the fast stuff too. They just choose sometimes not to. Sudsy says, Dead & Company is too slow. It's not how Jerry would have had the music. Billy and the kids still are rocking it at shows. Billy doesn't want to play glacier tempos imposed by Bobby. He wants to play some freaking rock and roll. That's from Joe Rudd again. He got tired of playing Cold Rain and Slow Down Palace, or songs like Box of Drizzle, Limp Down Street, China Cat, Slow Rider, I Slow You Rider, Peggy Oh So Slow, The Race Is Off, Slowing Stones, One Slow Saturday Night. That was by Travis Woodall. Again, these are some of the comments that we've had recently. Again, my opinion is this. It's great that we have the music. It sucks that Billy left because he could have just finished the tour. But it is slow sometimes. And I do blame Bobby for that. I love Bobby. His album that he put out, Blue Mountain in 2016, is a cowboy record, really, with slow stuff. I think the stuff that he does with the Wolf Brothers is slow. They just put a record out last year that opens up with New Speedway Boogie, and it's not boogieing. In fact, Bobby doesn't even come in vocally, I think, until almost 3 minutes, and it's slow. You're losing that feel. You get out on the lawn in these summer amphitheaters, and you're limping through some of these songs, and yes, they're well played, but man, you can't groove. New Speedway Boogie is supposed to boogie. It's a boogie. I don't get it. I hope that they do take some of these comments to heart. Not that they're going to watch this. And I love Bobby. And again, Bobby's great. Bobby's voice sounds fantastic. Bobby is trying to change things, I think, in his own image of this cowboy troubadour. Again, he sounds fantastic vocally. I think he wants to take some lead guitar solos sometimes. That's why when he did that duo tour with Phil, he had one show with Trey, and then he had other shows, I think, with Larry Campbell. And Larry's not burning through solos. I saw Phil Lesh and Friends in recent years, and he does keep the same spirit and tempos as truly what the Grateful Dead does and should do. Peace out. Subscribe to my channel. It's all about love here. I was asked to do this show by a subscriber, Kim, and I hope that this was helpful in some way. And just talking about the Dead's fun, right? We're getting towards the end of the road, and it's been a wonderful ride. And again, just some thoughts. Peace out. See you later.